In this video, we're going to be comparing 3 of the biggest online marketplaces. We've got eBay, we've got Vinted, and we've got Depop. So first of all, we're going to have a little look at the fees. So if you're a private seller on eBay, you can expect to pay around 12.8% fee. If you're a business seller, you'll expect to pay about 10.9% plus 30p, and that's a fee depending on what you sell. The promoted listing can also vary. So if you're a private seller and your item's got a 12.8% fee on there that you're going to have to pay once it sells, and if you're promoting listing, if you don't watch what you're putting on there, if you promote your listing at like 7%, you're paying almost 20% over to eBay. So my top tip is to make sure your promoted listing is down as low as you can go to keep those fees down as much as possible. Now on Vinted, there is 0% fees. These fees are passed on to the buyer. So there is also bump options on Vinted, so you can promote your items. Your Vinted wardrobe spotlight is £6.95 for 3 to 7 days. And to bump an item individually, the prices vary on that. It's not really clear. If you look in the terms and conditions for Vinted for how they work this out, there is a link you can even press saying how is this calculated. It doesn't really tell you how they get to these prices. It used to always be 95p for 3 days no matter what the item was, but now you can pay for 3 or 7 days and it doesn't really tell you how it's calculated. So there's not a lot of transparency there. And Depop comes out as the most expensive. We've got a 10% fee on your sale. We also have a transaction fee of 2.9% plus 30p, and that's the same whether you use Depop payments or PayPal. You also have an additional 8% fee if you sell something through a boosted listing. So you can expect to pay up to around 22% if your item sells for a boosted listing, which is absolutely crazy. Do you really want to be handing over 22% of your sale over to Depop? I don't think so. That can be the difference between making a profit or a loss. So in the most expensive, we've got Depop. The cheapest, we've got Vinted. And then we've got eBay in the middle of the road there. Our next category is going to be user friendly. So eBay, it's a long time to list. There's more categories to fill. If you want your listing to be seen, you've got to make sure that you fill out all of those categories basically. Now, I'm not saying that you should just fill out every single one because that will just confuse the algorithm. For example, if you're listing a t-shirt, like a Nike t-shirt, and it asks you what character to put in, don't put a character in because there isn't a character. All that's going to do is confuse the algorithm essentially, but it does take a hell of a lot longer to list on eBay. There's far more categories to choose from. Now Vinted's got a very quick and easy listing process. All you have to do is upload your photos and you fill out around 4 or 5 categories. Some of it will even fill out for you. If you fill out your title well enough, it will even fill out most of those categories for you. And then you simply choose whether you have a small, medium or large parcel. That's it. So Vinted is by far the quickest, and I would certainly say it was the easiest to list with. Now Depop's got a few little issues. Depop, you can only put 4 pictures on. So if you've got something that you want to really show off the angles of, you want to show off that nice shiny logo, you want to show out, a certain detail or a print, you've got to make sure that you're being really specific with your photos to be able to help to convert that sale. It does take slightly longer than Vinted, and also not all brands are available on Depop. On Vinted, if you can't find your brand that you want to list, you can create the brand yourself. So, and then it's there for forevermore basically. So you can add brands onto their database, which is great. On Depop, if the brand you're selling isn't there, you can't put the brand in. There's no way to add it, there's no way to create it, and that essentially will pull your listing down, because if someone's searching for a brand and you don't have that box filled out, it's going to pull your listing down. It's not going to be seen by everybody. So certainly the most user-friendly platform is Vinted. Now, help-wise, obviously, if you're buying or if you're selling, you always need to know how are you going to get help if something doesn't quite go to plan, whether that's a refund, whether that's negative feedback or whatever. You need to know how you're going to get things resolved. Now, eBay have a very easy to call helpline. You do wait in a queue, however, the queue isn't always massive. You can also get help online via eBay chat. You do have to go through a bot first, which is really annoying, but there is a way to be able to actually speak to a person, whether that's on the phone or online. Now, Vinted only has a message only system. So you click for help, you fill out your message, and there's no time frame in which they will reply. They don't state a time frame in which they'll reply. It does tell you that they will get back to you, but who knows when. Now, Depop, that is also a much lengthier help form. You have to add in a lot of information. On both forms, you have to add in files. You need to be able to add pictures of what the problem is. But obviously, if you've sold something, you may not be able to add pictures. So it can get a little bit iffy. There's also no obvious help on the Depop app. It's very difficult to get help just through the app. It's much easier to be able to search online and get help that way. And it can take longer than 7 days to resolve. Depop do give sellers a 7-day window before they will even get involved. So it can be a really lengthy task if you've got a problem on Depop. I think help-wise, the best platform is eBay because you can physically talk to someone. Vinted and Depop, you can't physically talk to anyone. Now, just a little fun fact for you all. eBay's company yearly revenue, so eBay, £10.8 billion a year that company makes. Its net worth is 22.7 billion. Vinted makes 245 million euros a year. Now, Vinted is a European company. I think it started out in France. And the company is worth 4.5 billion. And Depop makes $650 million. Depop more than doubled their income lately. And they've also been bought out by Etsy for £1.6 billion in cash. So Depop will stand on its own as a standalone brand. Etsy has always said that, but Etsy do actually own Depop. So that's just a fun fact for you. Now, Which Magazine, they also asked 4,000 people, what is the most popular place for people to be able to sell on? And some of these may just surprise you. So out of 4,000 people, Vinted actually came in as number one with 75% of people preferring Vinted. Facebook Marketplace came in second with 68%. Gumtree actually came in third with 68%. eBay came in fourth with 67%. And that was a joint fourth with FreeCycle at 67%. Amazon Marketplace also came in fifth or sixth with 64%, and last was Depop at 61%. In my own personal experience, I can see why Depop has come last. I only get sales there once in a blue moon. I myself have stopped listing on Depop. I'm not going to advise any of you guys which platforms you should use or shouldn't use, but from someone who does use all three platforms, I certainly prefer eBay and Vinted, and I've limited myself now to eBay and Vinted. The nice thing about Vinted is that you get 100% of your profit, you get 100% of your money back because those extra little costs are passed on to the seller. eBay, it's the biggest platform. You're going to get more sales on eBay because far more people are looking at it. Depop is very expensive, but you have to put those prices up high to cover that mammoth fee. So guys, that's what I got to say. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think? What platforms will you be using? Will you drop any platforms? Will you carry on? Let me know what you think, and I will catch you all in the next video. Take care and see you soon.